So I recently had a conversation with an architect that wants to grow the business, and they was looking for a few strategies they could use to do that. So without sharing any specific details about the business, I thought it might be useful to share what we talked about in this video. The reason we share these videos is because we're passionate about helping small businesses compete against the corporate takeover of most industries. Customer convenience and access to capital means small businesses will mostly die out before the end of the decade if they don't adapt and start thinking about new ways of running the business. We work in partnership with established 7- and 8-figure businesses to create new product offerings and business models, and then we position and package them up to be a viable alternative to those big corporates. So this business had around 800,000 in revenue. It was run by the owner himself, and the reason he wanted to grow it was because he wants to be able to take more time off and then travel with his family when they aren't at school, without the constant feeling that he needs to be in contact with the business or its customers. So by growing it, he can have other people step into those roles, with the business being less reliant on him being there himself. So this business owner believed he'd need to grow it to around 2.5 million in revenue to be at that point where it can afford to employ a full-time management team and still afford to pay him a decent salary as well. And we already know it's got around 800,000 in revenue. So to reach that target, it needs to grow by about 3 times its current size. Its customer base is made up of about 70% by the new housing market, with the rest of its customers just being really anyone that comes to the door, whether that's designing a new office building, a restaurant, or even a church. And the services it provides is general architect services, designing houses, and then master planning for new housing sites. And the business is managed day to day by the owner himself. So in order for him to be free from the business day to day, he has to remove himself from the business and have a full-time management team in place. Now, obviously, all of these roles aren't going to be filled overnight, but every time he fills one of these, it frees him up that little bit more of his time, and he should focus on whichever he's least skilled in, perhaps in the sales or the finance areas of the business in his particular case. And that's where the biggest performance increase in the business will happen, and that will catapult the business forward faster. And sometimes business owners get worried about this idea of replacing themselves. They think they'll lose control or they'll be out of a job. But a business owner's role isn't to work in the business, it's to work on the business. So by getting these other people doing the day-to-day work, you as the business owner can focus on how to grow the business or how to make it better, rather than having to deal with staff issues or clients that don't pay on time. So to grow, we agreed that it should probably diversify its client base to reduce risk, because the housing market is the first to be hit during a recession. So moving into new sectors would help to reduce any impact on the business when that happens. It could probably do that by looking at those other types of customer that it's served, and then niche down on whichever type have been the largest or most in demand out of those. Or he could also look at what trends are happening and make his choice around that. For example, is the hospitality sector growing really quickly in his area, and how easy would it be for his business to tap into that? Probably the most important thing to consider is having previous case studies, examples of past work that the business can use to show potential new customers in that sector. So if he was going to target new hotels, for example, he would want to have case studies of past hotel projects that he's designed. And then next is to add product offerings, because the more products that a business provides, the more it can sell to its existing customers. And that means it reduces spend on marketing and sales to find new customers. When I talk about products in this business, I'm talking about adding service offerings. The other side benefit is clients like to buy everything from one supplier because it costs them less in managing that supply chain and procurement process that way. Now, one of the main strategies the business owner was pursuing was to look for companies to buy and then bolt into his existing business. And his initial thoughts was he'd target his competitors, firms that provided the same type of services, and be somewhere around 500,000 in revenue, so slightly smaller than his business. There's two issues we talked about with this. The first, often what happens when a smaller business like this doesn't have a management team, they buy another small business. The owner will spend 95% of their time on energy on running that new business. And then their old business ends up declining so much that they may as well just close it down. And in this case, by targeting the business that's almost the same size, then this again isn't going to have a management team in place either. So what happens is it becomes even busier, running even faster on that treadmill, but still not getting anywhere. So in this case, rather than looking for a business at around $500,000 in revenue, instead go a bit bigger and look for businesses that are maybe 2 million in revenue. Or you could work with a smaller business, say $500,000 revenue, if it doesn't want to sell. But maybe it just wants to team up with your business and merge, because maybe they want to get into your sector and you into theirs. So there's a benefit to both businesses there. And that will give both businesses enough revenue to start building that management team across that combined business. So in this case, you'd want to find someone with complementary skills. And I've done another video on that called How to Find a Perfect Joint Venture Partner. Now, the second issue is when you buy a direct competitor, you actually don't get what I'd call synergy growth. So it can be a better option to look for other types of company and bolt these on instead. So let me show you an example of what I'm talking about with that. So let's look at the main benefits you get when you buy a business. First, the valuation multiple will normally increase. If you don't understand how that happens or what I mean by that, I've got other videos that go much deeper into that. Second, there might be an opportunity for share and resource across those two businesses, whether that's some kind of equipment or whether it's staff members. And then it's shared assets. If you've got two businesses relatively close together, then perhaps both could move into the same office. It probably saves money on rent, and you can normally get a discount the larger the premises are as well. So if you needed larger premises to fit all your stuff in together, then you can negotiate there as well. And then there's all the duplication that you can cut out. And you might get bigger buying discounts if you combine buying power as well. So all of that might create, let's say, a 20% cost saving to the business. But the real value is created from the last two benefits. The first, being able to cross-sell to clients. In other words, selling your product to their customers and vice versa. And then the final benefit that adds lots of value is having access to new product offerings and other people's IP or intellectual property that you can then cross-sell that as well. Let's look at the various options you've got when it comes to finding other companies to buy or to merge with. So the first thing you can do is look at buying or merging with a direct competitor, like we've talked about already. That's a business that provides the same service to the same group of people in the same location. If you can buy or merge with a direct competitor, it means you own more of that local market. The next, you could look at a business that provides the exact same products and services, but in a new location. For example, you might want to have a presence somewhere else. So you could look for a business in another region. Third, you could look for a competitor that serves another sector or another group of customers that you don't currently serve. And then you can look at what other products or services your existing customers might want to buy, and look for companies that might be able to provide those offerings and buy or merge with them. The trick isn't to think about what you provide right now, but instead, what could you add to what you already do? What else could you sell to your existing clients? The key is about existing clients, not new clients. They come later. But when we're talking about synergy, what else is your client buying? If you're acquiring or merging with a company to provide that cross-sell to your clients and vice versa, you want both businesses to be in what I call the same product family. So what does that mean? The client has to see a clear mental connection between what you do now and the new product offering that you're trying to sell them. So let's say you're a plumbing company and you provide various types of plumbing services to your clients. Now, if you buy a business that provides financial advice, well, your clients aren't going to see that connection. They're going to think, what does the plumber know about financial advice? And likewise, the other firm's clients, they'll think, what does the financial advisor know about plumbing? There's no natural connection between the two. So to make that connection, you have to stick to the same product family. So for a plumber, the product family would be the services within a building. So that could include gas services, electrical services, air conditioning and refrigeration. You can clearly see the connection between all of those services. And you'd probably trust that the same person from any of those trades would be competent they'd be competent enough to deliver any of them. So the problem is, like we talked about before, if you buy a competitor, you have nothing to cross-sell. And so there's no opportunity for either business to grow. The only benefit you get with this route is the potential cost saving, which might make up 20 or maybe 30%. But if there's a clear connection between those product offerings of each business, you get to realize all of those benefits of buying a business, and all of those businesses have the opportunity to grow within that group. Now, the other option for this business, apart from buying or merging with other businesses, which if that were my business, I'd probably use a combination of strategies. And that would be firstly to create some new product offerings internally. And these would be the type of services that the existing staff could deliver. I'd look to buy businesses that had complementary product offerings that my internal staff couldn't deliver, like those other services in that same product family. And then I'd look at doing a number of joint ventures with other complementary businesses, which would give me a combination of new product offerings, maybe new location, but also access to new client sectors. So that's it for this video. Hopefully you found it interesting, and perhaps you can use these same strategies in your own business. If you haven't seen my videos on buying businesses or creating joint ventures, I've got over 300 videos on my channel covering lots of different strategies like that. So go and watch those next.